If you ever think love can't flip into betrayal in one single breath, then you've never stood in a quiet park and watched your whole future get stolen right in front of your eyes. My name is Nia Brooks. I was 19 when I moved to Canada, and I truly believed I was starting the cleanest, happiest chapter of my life. I wasn't running from trouble. I was running toward a dream, college, new friends, a new city, and a man I thought was my forever. His name was Zion Carter. He was 23, tall, calm, and the kind of guy who made you feel protected just by standing near you. He was black like me, and he understood the little things people don't say out loud. The stares. The assumptions. The way the world sometimes talks to you like you're already guilty. When I met him, I felt like I had finally found someone who spoke my language without using words. We were supposed to get married in a few hours. And I was about to catch him in the kind of lie that makes your stomach forget how to breathe. Before I tell you what I saw, hit subscribe, because this story starts sweet, turns cold, and ends in a way nobody expects. Zion and I didn't start in Canada. We started in New York. Back then, I was a girl who sang to herself in tiny moments, on the subway, in the shower, in the kitchen while washing dishes. Singing wasn't just a hobby for me. It was how I survived the days when everything felt loud and heavy. Music made me feel like I had a place in the world. In New York, I sang at school talent nights. I sang at small events. I even sang in the park once, just for fun, because a group of kids asked me to. People smiled. A few clapped. I blushed so hard my cheeks hurt. Zion didn't clap. He pulled me aside afterward and said, "Nia, don't do that." "Don't do what?" I asked, still smiling, still glowing. "Don't sing out there like that," he said, his voice flat. "You're not some street performer." I laughed, thinking he was joking. "It's just a song." He didn't laugh back. "I'm serious. People stare, people judge, I don't like it." That was the first time I saw it. His love had rules, quiet rules. Rules that sounded like protection but felt like a cage. Still, I told myself he cares. He just wants the best for me. Then life shifted. Fast. Zion got an opportunity in Los Angeles. A friend offered him a better job path. He told me, "Come with me, we'll build our future." I was young, in love, hungry for a life that felt bigger than my neighborhood streets. So I said yes. Los Angeles looked like sunlight and palm trees, but my life there didn't feel bright at first. Everything was expensive. Everything moved too fast. I started working part-time at a small coffee shop near a college campus to help with bills. I'd wake up early, tie my apron, smile at strangers, and whisper songs under my breath while cleaning tables. That's how I met her. Her name was Maya Lane. Maya wasn't rude. Maya wasn't loud. Maya was the kind of girl who walked like she had a soundtrack following her. She was black, about my age, with big expressive eyes and a notebook always stuffed in her bag. She came into the cafe almost every day, ordered a cheap tea, and sat near the window writing lyrics. One afternoon, I heard her humming. It wasn't random humming. It was practiced. Beautiful. The kind of sound that makes your head turn without permission. "You sing?" I asked. She looked up shy. "Yeah, I'm trying to be a singer." "Like for real?" I said. She nodded. "For real. I sing at my college and sometimes in parks. Anywhere people will listen." That made me smile, because it felt like looking into a mirror of what I wanted to be, free enough to sing out loud without asking anyone's permission. We became friendly fast. Not best friends, but close enough that she'd wave when she walked in, and I'd save her a seat near the window when I could. One day I mentioned Zion. Maya asked, "Is he supportive of your music?" I hesitated. "He wants me to be careful." She tilted her head. "Careful is one thing, silenced is another." That sentence stayed in my chest like a small stone, but even with all that, Zion and I looked perfect on the outside. We posted cute photos. We went on dates. We talked about the future, like it was already guaranteed. Then something happened that changed our direction again. My aunt in Toronto offered to help me get into a program in Canada. A real chance, a fresh start. Zion said he wanted to come too. He told me, "Canada is better, less stress, more opportunities, we'll do it together." So we went. Canada felt calmer, cleaner, like the air itself had more space. I started school. Zion got work through connections. And for a while, it felt like we had escaped the parts of our relationship that didn't fit. When Zion proposed, it wasn't fancy. It was private. He held my hands in our small apartment and said, "I don't want anyone else, I want you." My eyes filled with tears. I said yes. We planned a simple wedding, a small venue, a few friends, some family flying in, nothing big. Just real, or so I thought. The morning of the wedding, my nerves were shaking like a phone on silent. I kept checking my dress like it might disappear. Zion kissed my forehead and said, "I'm going to run a few errands. I'll be back soon." "What errands?" I asked. "Just last-minute stuff," he said. "Relax, baby." He left. Hours passed. I texted him. No response. I called. It rang, then went to voicemail. My chest started to tighten. Not because I thought he was cheating, because I didn't allow my brain to go there. I thought maybe he had a surprise. Maybe he was picking up flowers. Maybe his phone died. Then I got a message from one of my friends. "Girl, is Zion with you?" I typed back. "No, why?" No answer. Something about that silence made my hands go cold. I told myself I was being dramatic, but I couldn't sit still. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside, telling my bridesmaids I needed fresh air. I walked toward a nearby park that Zion sometimes liked to sit in when he was stressed. It was quiet there, with a little pond and trees that moved gently in the wind. I thought maybe I'd find him sitting alone, and we'd laugh about the panic later. I turned the corner near a row of bushes, and stopped so hard my body jerked. There he was, Zion, not sitting alone. He was with a girl, and he wasn't just talking. He was smiling in that soft way he used to smile at me when he thought I wasn't watching. His hand was on her face. Her fingers were on his chest. Their heads leaned close, like two people who had done this before and didn't fear getting caught. Time did something weird. It stretched. It slowed. It made every detail sharp. The girl's hair was long and dark. She wore a light jacket. She laughed at something Zion said, then leaned in again. I couldn't hear words, but I could read the language. Comfort, closeness, ownership. My knees felt weak. My first thought wasn't anger, it was confusion. Why here? Why today? Why hours before our wedding? Then my second thought hit like lightning. This isn't new. My breathing turned shallow. My hands shook so badly I had to press them against my thighs. My throat made a small sound, barely a gasp. Zion didn't hear it. He was too busy being someone else's man. I did the only thing my brain could handle in that moment. I pulled out my phone. My screen blurred because tears filled my eyes, but I forced my fingers steady. I zoomed in. I took photos. 1, 2, 3. The sound was muted. My heart was screaming louder than any camera click. The girl leaned into him again. Zion kissed her cheek, then her lips. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I would throw up right there. I stumbled backward, staying behind the bushes, careful not to snap a branch. I didn't want a scene, not yet. I wanted proof. Because I knew something about men like Zion. If you catch them with words, they call you crazy. If you catch them with feelings, they call you dramatic. But if you catch them with a picture, they can't talk their way out. As I backed away, my phone shook in my palm, and a memory hit me so clearly it made my eyes widen. Maya, singing in parks, street corners, college hallways, a dream she carried like a bright flame. And Zion, the man who didn't like that kind of attention. Why did my mind jump to Maya? Because deep down, I suddenly realized Zion didn't hate attention. He hated attention on me. He didn't want me shining. He wanted me quiet. He wanted me small. So he could do whatever he wanted in the dark. I walked back toward the apartment like a ghost wearing a bride's future. Every step felt fake. I stared at my phone, at the photos, at the truth trapped inside pixels. When I entered, my bridesmaids smiled. "You okay?" I forced my face into something that looked like calm. "Yeah," I lied. "I just needed air." Then my phone buzzed, a text from Zion. "On my way, love you, love you." My fingers curled around the phone so tight it hurt. I stared at the message until the words stopped looking real. I realized something in that moment, something I had never understood before. Some people can say, "I love you," while they are actively destroying you. I looked at my dress hanging on the door. In a few hours, I was supposed to walk down an aisle toward a man who was just kissing another girl in a park. A man who thought I was too foolish to notice. A man who had no idea I was holding his downfall in my hand. And if you think I was about to cry and forgive him, you don't know me. Not yet. Because the wedding wasn't the end. It was the beginning of my revenge. When I reached the apartment, everything looked like a lie dressed in white. Flowers on the table, my dress hanging like a promise, music playing softly from someone's phone, my friends laughing in the kitchen, talking about makeup and photos. They had no idea that my future was bleeding quietly in my pocket. I locked myself in the bathroom and stared at my reflection. My eyes were red. My lips trembled. My hands still shook from what I had seen in that park. I opened my phone again. The pictures were clear. Zion's face, his hand on her cheek, her smile, their closeness, no excuses, no misunderstanding. I pressed my forehead against the mirror and whispered, "Don't break." Not yet. I wasn't ready to scream. I wasn't ready to cry in front of everyone. I needed to understand first. Why her? Why today? Why risk everything? My phone buzzed again. Zion, I'm almost there. You okay? I typed slowly. Me. Yeah, just nervous. My heart laughed bitterly. Nervous. That word had never meant so much. I went back into the living room and forced myself to sit. One of my bridesmaids handed me water. Another adjusted my hair. Today's your day, someone said. I almost said, it was. Instead, I smiled. In my head, a voice whispered, watch him. Let him talk. Let him show you who he is. When Zion arrived, he walked in like a hero returning from a quest. He kissed my cheeks softly, careful not to ruin my makeup. You look beautiful, he said. I looked at him. Really looked. The same mouth that kissed me had just kissed another girl. Thank you, I replied. His eyes searched mine for a second like he sensed something. Then he smiled and turned to greet everyone. I waited until we were alone in the bedroom. I closed the door behind us. Where were you? I asked. He loosened his tie. Running around, last-minute things. I nodded slowly. Where exactly? He shrugged. Around. I took out my phone. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just turned the screen toward him. His face changed. First confusion. Then shock, then something darker. Where did you get this? He asked. I took it, I said. Silence filled the room. That's not what it looks like, he said quickly. I waited. She's just a friend, he added. She needed advice. I waited. He stepped closer. Nia, don't do this right now. I finally spoke. You kissed her, he swallowed. It was nothing. It was hours before our wedding. He ran a hand through his hair. I was stressed. You don't understand the pressure. Pressure makes you cheat, I asked. He raised his voice slightly. It wasn't cheating, I stared at him. In that moment, I understood something painful. He wasn't sorry, he was afraid. Afraid of losing comfort, afraid of consequences, not afraid of hurting me. I took a slow breath. Who is she? He hesitated. Just someone. I stepped back. Is it Maya? His eyes flickered. That was enough. My chest tightened. The girl who sings, I said. The one you always said you didn't like. He looked away. I laughed softly, broken. You don't hate singing, you hate me shining. That's not fair, he said. You fell in love with someone who lives out loud, I continued. And you tried to make me quiet. He didn't answer. Cancel the wedding, I said. His head snapped up. What? I won't marry you. He stepped toward me. Nia, don't ruin everything over one mistake. One mistake, I repeated. You planned this. You left me on our wedding day to be with another woman. You're overreacting, he said. That sentence burned deeper than any insult. I opened the door. Everyone looked at us. Wedding's off, I said clearly. Gasps filled the room. Zion grabbed my arm. Nia, stop, I pulled away. Let go. He whispered angrily, you're embarrassing me. I looked at him and said, you embarrassed yourself in that park. I walked out. People asked questions. I didn't answer. I left with my phone, my bag, and my dignity. Outside, cold air hit my face. I breathed for the first time all day. If you think Heartbreak ends here, subscribe, because this is where strength is born. I didn't go back to the apartment. I went to the coffee shop near campus. Maya was there. She looked surprised when she saw me. Nia, I sat across from her. I saw you today, I said softly. Her face drained of color. In the park, I added, her eyes filled with tears. I didn't know, she whispered. I swear, he said he was single. I believed her, because her pain looked real. He hates that you sing, I said. She nodded slowly. He told me I was special because I didn't care about attention. I almost smiled. He told me you were nothing, I said. Her breath caught. We sat in silence. Two girls played by the same man. I showed her the photos. She covered her mouth. I don't want him, she said. Neither do I replied. That's when an idea formed. Not loud, not violent, smart, I leaned in. Do you want to be famous? She blinked. What? You want to sing. To be seen, she nodded slowly. What if the world hears your voice? I said, and his lies at the same time. Her eyes widened. We didn't speak of revenge, we spoke of truth, and truth is the sharpest blade. I didn't go home that night. I didn't want to sit in an apartment full of wedding decorations and fake happiness. I didn't want to see the dress hanging there like a joke. Maya and I stayed in that small coffee shop until the chairs were flipped on tables and the lights dimmed. The workers looked tired, but they didn't rush us. Maybe they could see that something inside me had cracked, and I was trying to hold the pieces together with my hands. Maya kept whispering, I didn't know, I swear, like saying it enough times could erase the images from my phone. I believe you, I told her, and I did. Her face didn't look like someone who won. It looked like someone who realized she was standing in the middle of someone else's mess. But believing her didn't make the pain smaller. It just moved the target. Zion. A man who could kiss me in the morning, kiss another girl at noon, and text, love you like it was nothing. We walked outside into the cold Canadian night. The streetlights made everything look pale. Cars passed like they didn't know a whole life had ended on that sidewalk. Maya hugged herself, shivering. What are you going to do? She asked. I looked at my phone again. The pictures were still there. Proof that Zion could not talk his way out of. I'm going to let him think I'm broken, I said quietly. And while he thinks that, I'm going to find out who he really is. Maya swallowed. He's going to come after you. Let him, I said. If you're still listening, subscribe because the next moves aren't about crying. They're about strategy. I slept at my friend Tasha's place. I didn't tell her everything, only that the wedding was off and I needed space. Tasha didn't ask too many questions. She just handed me a blanket and said, whatever happened, you're safe here. I lay on her couch staring at the ceiling. My mind replayed Zion's face when he saw the photos. Not regret. Not shame. Fear of losing control. That's when I understood what I was dealing with. Zion didn't love me like a person. He loved me like a possession. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages. Zion, Nia, answer me. Zion, why are you doing this? Zion, you're going to regret embarrassing me. Zion, call me now. Then voice notes. Then missed calls. I didn't respond. I wanted him to feel the silence. I wanted him to taste what it felt like to lose access to me. Around noon, Tasha's doorbell rang. My heart jumped. Tasha peeked through the peephole and turned back to me. It's some guy, she whispered. Tall hoodie, looks mad. Zion. Of course he found me. He always knew how to track my steps because he liked to know where I was at all times. He called it being protective. Now I saw it for what it was. Tasha opened the door a crack. Can I help you? Zion forced a smile. I'm looking for Nia. She's not here, Tasha lied. Zion's eyes hardened. Don't play with me. Tasha stood firm. You need to leave. Zion stepped closer, voice low. Tell her she's making a huge mistake. Tell her she's going to destroy her own life. Tasha didn't flinch. Leave. Zion stared for a long second, then backed up, throwing one last sentence like poison. She'll come back, girls like her always do. Girls like her. I felt heat rise in my chest, but I stayed quiet behind the wall. Not because I was scared of him, because I was learning him. Every word he spoke was another piece of proof. When he left, Tasha shut the door hard. That man is trouble, she said. I nodded. He's worse than trouble. That afternoon, I met Maya again. We sat in a quiet corner of the library this time, where whispering felt like planning a heist. Maya had her notebook out, lyrics scribbled everywhere. I asked her, did he text you? She showed me her phone. Zion had sent her messages too. Zion, don't talk to Nia. Zion, you're nothing, you hear me. Zion, you sing in parks like a beggar. Zion, you think you can ruin me. My stomach turned. He had two faces. The charming face for love and the cruel face for control. Maya's eyes were watery. He said he liked that I didn't chase attention, she whispered. But then he insults me for singing. I don't understand. He doesn't mean any of it, I said. He just says whatever makes you smaller. I opened my phone and scrolled. Then I paused. Something I hadn't noticed before jumped out at me. In one of the photos, behind Zion and the girl, a reflection in the pond showed another figure standing a little distance away. Someone watching them. The shape was blurry, but it looked like a person holding a phone too. My throat went dry. Maya, I whispered, turning the screen toward her. Look, she leaned in. What is that? Someone else was there, I said. Watching, Maya squinted. Maybe it's just a stranger. Or maybe it's not, I said. A new fear crawled into my mind, cold and sharp. What if Zion wanted to be caught? What if he didn't mess up? What if this was planned? Maya's voice shook. Why would he do that? I thought of the way he'd said, "You're going to regret embarrassing me." I thought of how he cared more about being embarrassed than about hurting me. Then I remembered something else. Zion had been pushing for the wedding fast. He had wanted it simple, quick, paperwork done. He had been the one insisting on the timing. I looked at Maya. What if he needed something from me, I said slowly, and the wedding was the key? Maya's eyes widened. Like what? Status, I said, documents, money, access. Something. We sat there silent, while the library around us hummed with quiet pages turning. My heart was beating hard, not just from heartbreak now, from suspicion. I decided right then. I wasn't just going to expose cheating. I was going to expose the whole game, so I did something that felt terrifying. I called Zion. He answered on the first ring like he'd been waiting with the phone in his hand. Finally, he snapped. Where are you? I made my voice small, soft, hurt. Zion, I don't know what to do, I whispered. His tone changed instantly. Smoother. Baby, listen, you overreacted. I forced a shaky breath. Why were you there? He sighed like I was annoying him. It was nothing, I made a mistake. A mistake hours before our wedding? I asked. He lowered his voice, sweet like syrup. Nia, I love you, I was stressed. Don't throw away everything because of one moment. I swallowed down anger. I don't want the whole city laughing at me, I said quietly. People saw me cancel it. People are talking. There was a pause. Then he said the part that revealed his real fear. Yeah, you made me look bad too. Not I hurt you. Not I'm sorry. Just you made me look bad. I continued playing the broken girl. Can we talk in person? I asked. Somewhere private, he hesitated. Why? Because I might forgive you, I whispered. I just need to understand. That did it. His voice softened. Okay, he said. Meet me tonight at 9, the park, same place. My stomach flipped. Same place, so it wasn't random. He was choosing the scene again. Okay, I said, letting my voice shake. I'll come alone. When I ended the call, Maya stared at me like I had just stepped into a storm. You're going? She asked. Not alone, I said. That's when we built the plan, not a violent plan, not a crazy plan. A clean plan. Step 1, recording. We needed his words. The way he threatened. The way he controlled. We needed him admitting things. Step 2. Protection. Tasha would be nearby, not close enough to be seen, but close enough to help. And she would call campus security if anything went wrong. Step 3, the twist. Maya would also be there, hidden, ready to reveal herself at the right moment. Not for drama, for truth. Because Zion was playing two women like chess pieces. Tonight, the pieces would move against him. As the day turned into evening, my hands started shaking again, not from weakness. From the heavy feeling of walking back into the place where my heart was broken. I wore a simple jacket and kept my phone fully charged. I hid a small microphone clip inside my collar, something Maya's college friend had used for recording practice. We tested it twice. It worked. At 8:50, I arrived near the park entrance. The air was sharp. The pond was dark. The trees moved like they were whispering. I saw Zion standing near the same bench, hands in his pockets, looking around. He smiled when he saw me, like he was proud I came back. I walked toward him slowly, acting nervous. Hey, he said. Hey, I replied. He tried to pull me into a hug. I stepped back. His eyes narrowed. Still mad? I'm hurt, I said softly. He sighed and sat on the bench. Sit, he ordered. I sat on the edge, keeping space between us. He leaned forward. Listen, Nia, we're going to fix this. But you need to stop talking to people. Stop running to friends. Stop making it public. I stared at him. You made it public when you kissed her. His jaw tightened. Lower your voice, he hissed. There it was again. Not love, control. I kept my voice small. Who is she? I asked. He rolled his eyes. Just someone who understands me. Someone like me? I asked. He smirked. No, not like you. My heart pounded. What does that mean? I asked. He shrugged. You're emotional, you're dramatic. You want to sing in public like you're starving for attention. I swallowed. I haven't sung in public since New York. And that's why I liked you more than her, he said without thinking. At least you know how to behave. Her. He said it like it was normal, like Maya wasn't a person. I steadied my breath. So you're with her, I whispered. He leaned in, voice cold. Nia, don't make this hard, we had a plan. Marriage was part of the plan, you ruined it today. My blood went cold. Plan, I repeated. He realized what he said and tried to pull back. I mean our future. But it was too late, the word was out. I looked at him with wet eyes, acting confused. What plan, Zion? Why did you need the wedding so bad? His face tightened. He stared at me like he was deciding whether to lie or threaten. Then he chose both. You don't need to know everything, he said. You just need to do what I say. I let my voice shake. Or what? He leaned closer, eyes hard. Or I'll make sure everyone thinks you're crazy. I'll tell them you lied. I'll show them messages. I'll ruin your name. My stomach turned, but inside a calm fire lit up, because my microphone was catching every word, and he had no idea. If you want to see a liar walk into his own trap, subscribe, because the next moment is where the mask finally slips. Zion didn't know that every word he spoke was being saved. The microphone inside my collar was warm against my skin, like a tiny heartbeat reminding me that I wasn't alone in this moment. My hands rested on my lap, calm on the outside, shaking on the inside. The park was quiet except for distant traffic and the soft splash of the pond. He leaned back on the bench, crossing his arms, acting like he owned the night. You think love is like those songs you hum, he said. It's not, it's power, it's control. You don't survive in this world by being soft. I swallowed and looked at the water. You loved me once. He laughed, not loud, not cruel. Just tired. I liked what you could be. I liked how you looked beside me, but you were never supposed to be the star. The word hit me like ice. So what was I asked. A step, he replied. A phase. You helped me get where I needed to go. My chest burned, but my voice stayed quiet. Where is that? He leaned forward. A place where people listen to me, respect me. Where I'm not just another guy. You already had that, I said. Not enough, he snapped. Not in the way that matters. I let a tear slip down my cheek, not fake, real. So you used me, I whispered. He shrugged. Don't make it ugly. Ugly. I thought of every late shift, every meal I skipped, every dream I folded smaller to fit beside him. You told me you hated girls who sang in public, I said. But you go to the park with one. His mouth twitched. She's different. Different how? She listens, he said. She doesn't argue, she doesn't make scenes. I felt something inside me rise, hot and steady. You like girls who disappear. He stared at me. You're getting dramatic again. I lifted my eyes to him. Say it again, I said softly. Say that I ruin things. He sighed. Nia, you ruin things. You make everything bigger than it needs to be. And you make everything smaller than it is, I replied. He stood up. I don't have time for this. Are you coming back or not? I stayed seated. If I come back, I asked, will you stop seeing her? He hesitated. That hesitation was everything. I can't promise that, he finally said. There it was, truth. I nodded slowly like I was accepting defeat. Okay, I said. His shoulders relaxed. Good, you're making the right choice. I reached into my pocket and held my phone loosely, not to show him the pictures this time, but to steady myself. Can I ask you one last thing? I said. He looked annoyed. What? Why did you choose her? I asked. Why her out of everyone? He laughed softly. Because she wants to be heard, and I can give her that. I can shape her, make her grateful. The words felt dirty in the air. You don't want a partner, I said. You want an echo. He stepped closer, eyes narrowing. You talk too much. That's when a voice came from behind the trees. Funny, the voice said, shaking. You said the same thing to me. Zion froze. Slowly, he turned. Maya stepped out from the shadow, her notebook clutched to her chest. Her eyes were wet, but her spine was straight. Behind her, at a distance, I saw Tasha's silhouette near the path, phone in hand. Zion's face changed. Shock. Anger, panic. What are you doing here? He barked. Maya's voice trembled, but she didn't stop. You told me Nia was crazy. You told me she lied. You told me you were free. He looked at me. You set this up, I stood. You set everything up long before I did. Maya stepped closer. You said you loved my voice, she whispered. You said I was special. He scoffed. You're both insane. No, I said. We're done being silent. Maya lifted her phone. Everything you said tonight is recorded. His eyes widened. You can't do that, he said. I just did, I replied. He stepped back. Delete it. Why? I asked. So you can rewrite us too. His voice turned sharp. You don't know who you're messing with, I smiled sadly. We do now. Maya's hands shook. You told me to stop singing. You said I'd never be anything without you. He lunged forward. Give me the phone. Tasha moved closer, raising her own phone. One more step and campus security hears everything. Zion's chest rose and fell fast. For the first time, he looked small. You think this ruins me, he said. People will still choose me. I met his eyes. Maybe, but they won't choose your lies. I turned to Maya. Are you ready? She nodded. We walked away together. Behind us, Zion shouted my name. I didn't turn. If you've ever let someone shrink you, subscribe, because this is where silence ends and voice begins. The next morning, Maya uploaded a simple video. No drama, no shouting. Just her sitting on a bench in the park, singing a song she wrote about being told to disappear. At the end, a clip played. Zion's voice. You ruin things, you're dramatic, you're just a step. Marriage was part of the plan. The internet listened. And it didn't like what it heard. The video spread faster than either of us imagined. At first, it was just comments from students. Then strangers. Then people from other cities. Screens filled with Maya's face, her voice, her pain, and Zion's words echoing underneath like a confession he never meant to give. People shared it with captions like, "This is what control sounds like." Others wrote, "Every girl needs to hear this." Within 2 days, the clip crossed into places we had never stepped: news blogs, campus forums, music pages, even small radio shows. Maya's song played on repeat in dorm rooms and coffee shops. Her words became a mirror for thousands of girls who had been told to stay small. Zion tried to fight it. He posted stories saying it was edited. He claimed we set him up. He said I was unstable and Maya was using him for attention. But he forgot something simple. The truth doesn't shout, it waits. People replayed the clip. They listened. They compared his words to his excuses. The more he spoke, the more he showed who he was. His job called him in, then called him out. He lost the position he bragged about. Friends stopped answering. Messages appeared under his photos. You sound just like my ex. I dated you before, you did the same to me. This isn't new, you just got caught. Other girls came forward. One sent me a message. He told me you were dangerous. He said you lied about everything. I believed him. Another wrote, he said he needed me because you didn't understand him. Every message felt like a thread connecting the same pattern. Zion didn't fall because of one mistake. He fell because he had been repeating himself for years. I watched it all from a distance. Not with joy, with clarity. Because revenge that screams feels good for a moment, but revenge that reveals lasts. Maya's life changed overnight. People invited her to sing, small venues, campus events. A producer from a local station asked for a meeting. She stood in my kitchen one morning, holding her phone like it might disappear. They want me to perform live, she whispered. I smiled, then sing, she hugged me hard. You saved me, I shook my head. You saved yourself, I just stopped him from muting you. Meanwhile, my own world felt quiet. No wedding plans, no shared apartment. No future drawn in pencil. But something inside me was standing taller. For the first time, I wasn't explaining myself. I wasn't shrinking. I wasn't apologizing for being loud, emotional, human. I enrolled in a new program. I picked up shifts, I rebuilt routines. One afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message I never expected. From Zion, I never meant to hurt you. I stared at the screen for a long time, not because I wanted to reply. Because I realized something. This was the first time he had spoken without power behind him. No control, no advantage, no leverage, just words. I typed one sentence. Intent doesn't erase impact. Then I blocked him. If you've ever wondered what real strength looks like, subscribe, because it isn't loud. It's walking forward without turning back. Weeks passed. The noise faded. Maya kept singing, I kept studying. And one evening, while walking home, I noticed something small but powerful. I was humming, not quietly, not in secret, out loud in the street. And nobody told me to stop. That's when I understood. The revenge wasn't destroying him. The revenge was becoming myself again. The night Maya stepped onto her first real stage, I stood in the back of the room, hidden between shadows and soft yellow lights. The place wasn't big. It was a small community hall near campus, with folding chairs and a low wooden platform, but it felt like a world opening its arms. Maya walked out slowly, her hands shaking around the microphone. The room was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that waits. She closed her eyes, and then she sang, not loud, not perfect, but honest. Her voice carried every word she had once been told to swallow. Every time she was told to sit down. Every moment someone made her feel too much, too visible, too bright. People leaned forward, some wiped tears. Others held their breath like they were afraid to interrupt her courage. When she finished, the room stood. Not politely, fully, clapping like they were proud of her for surviving. I felt something warm rise in my chest, not jealousy. Not sadness, relief, because I wasn't alone anymore in this story. After the show, Maya found me near the door and hugged me tight. You changed my life, she whispered. I smiled gently. You changed your own. I just believed you before the world did. Outside, night wrapped the street in calm. For the first time in weeks, my phone didn't buzz with drama, questions, or warnings. It just stayed quiet in my pocket. And that silence felt like peace. Zion tried once more. He emailed me from a new address. He wrote long paragraphs about misunderstanding, about stress, about how the internet had twisted him. He said he was working on himself. He said he missed what we had. I didn't answer, not because I hated him, because I finally understood that closure doesn't come from hearing someone apologize. It comes from knowing you don't need it. I deleted the email. The next morning, I walked to class in the sunlight. I wore headphones and played Maya's song, the same one she sang that night. I didn't hide it. I didn't lower the volume. I let it walk with me through the streets. A girl passed me and smiled. I smiled back. Weeks later, I received a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was Zion's mother. She wrote, I don't know everything, but I know my son lost someone rare. I'm sorry for what he did to you. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied with one sentence. I hope he learns to love without fear. Because deep down, I knew something important. Zion didn't destroy me because he was evil. He destroyed because he was afraid. Afraid of being small. Afraid of being unseen. Afraid of not mattering. So he tried to own light instead of becoming it. I refused to carry his fear anymore. One afternoon, Maya and I sat in the park, the same park where my world had broken. The bench looked ordinary now, just wood and metal, no power, no memory strong enough to hurt me. She pulled out her notebook and wrote while birds hopped nearby. You know, she said, this place doesn't feel heavy anymore. I nodded. Because it doesn't belong to him. She smiled. It belongs to us now. We watched children run across the grass. We watched couples walk hand in hand. We watched people living without knowing they were standing on someone else's old pain. Life didn't stop because my heart once shattered. It kept moving, and I moved with it. I sang again, not for crowds, not for applause, for myself, in the shower, in my room, in the kitchen while cooking. I sang because my voice was never the problem. The world just needed to hear it. If you're listening to this and you've ever been told you're too loud, too emotional, too much, remember this. People who try to silence you are often afraid of what they don't have. They don't want you small because you're weak. They want you small because you're powerful. The greatest revenge is not making them hurt. It's refusing to disappear. It's standing in your truth so fully that their shadow can't reach you. I didn't walk away broken. I walked away awake, and I never stopped singing.